Ashtotara Satashree Vangration, Abhay Charnaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, Shri Shri Radha Shyam Sundar, Shri Gaurika, Vandra Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Samudhi Gauri, all glories to Samudhi Gauri, all glories to Samudhi Gauri, all glories to the Lord of the Shri Guru and Varanga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam Namaskrityam. Narayanam Namaskrityam. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Saraswati Vyasam. Saraswati Vyasam. Nashtapraya Sabhadreshu. Nashtapraya Sabhadreshu. Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, entitled Samagona. We're reading chapter 85, entitled Duryodhana Humiliated. Today we are going to read 16, 17, 18. 16 has a purport, so we'll recite together, and 17 and 18 has also purport, but I will read myself. Text 16, chapter 75, Canto 10. Please read. Gupta Nirvir Nigamam Upalabdhumetat. Gupta Nirvir Nigamam Upalabdhumetat. Devyo Yata Divi Vimana Varayna Devyo. Devyo Yata Divi Vimana Varayna Devyo. Kamatuleya Sakibihi Parishishyamanaha. Kamatuleya Sakibihi Parishishyamanaha. Savrida Hasa Vikasat Vadana Virejuhu. Savrida Hasa Vikasat Vadana Virejuhu. Gupta Nirvir Nigamanam Upalabdhumetat. Gupta Nirvir Nigamanam Upalabdhumetat. Devyo Yata Divi Vimana Varayna Devyo. Devyo Yata Divi Vimana Varayna Devyo. Tamatuleya Sakibihi Parishyamanaha. Tamatuleya Sakibihi Parishyamanaha. Savrida Hasa Vikasat Vadana Virejuhu. Savrida Hasa Vikasat Vadana Virejuhu. Gupta Nirvir Niragaman Upalabdhumetat. Gupta Nirvir Niragaman Upalabdhumetat. Yata Divi Vimana Varayna Devyo. Devyo Yata Divi Vimana Varayna Devyo. Tamatuleya Sakibihi Parishishyamanaha. Tamatuleya Sakibihi Parishishyamanaha. Savrida Hasa Vikasat Vadana Virejuhu. Savrida Hasa Vikasat Vadana Virejuhu. Gupta Nirvir Niragaman Upalabdhumetat. Devyo Yata Divi Vimana Varayna Devyo. Tamatuleya Sakibihi Parishyamanaha. Savrida Hasa Vikasat Vadana Virejuhu. Gupta Nirvir Nigaraman Upalabdhumetat. Gupta Nirvir Nigaraman Upalabdhumetat. Devyo Yata Divi Vimana Varayna Devyo. Devyo Yata Divi Vimana Varayna Devyo. Tamatulya Sakibihi Parishishyamana. Tamatulya Sakibihi Parishyamana. Savrida Hasa Vikasat Vadana Virejuhu. Savrida Hasa Vikasat Vadana Virejuhu. Gupta Nirvir Nigaramam Upalabdhumetat. Devyo Yata Divi Vimana Varayna Devyo.
Tamaduleya sakivi parishyamana. Savrita savrita sarvadana virejuhu.
Gupta nirbhir niragaman uplabdhametan.
Gupta nirbhir niragaman uplabdhametan.
Devyo yatha divi vimana varay nirbhyo.
Devyo yatha divi vimana varena devyo.
Tamatuleya sakhivi parisichyamana.
Tamatuleya sakhivi parisichyamana.
Savridhaha saviksa vidana varejuhu.
Savridhaha savrita sarvadana virejuhu. Gupta nirbhir niragaman uplabdhametan. Devyo yatha divi vimana varena devyo. Tamaduleya sakhivi parishyamana. Savrita savrita sarvadana virejuhu.
Word to word translation, please. Okay. Guptaha.
Guptaha.
Guarded.
Guarded.
Nirbihi.
Nirbihi.
My soldiers.
By soldiers.
Nirgaman.
Nirgaman.
They went out.
They went out.
Upalabdhum.
Upalabdhum.
To see firsthand.
To see firsthand.
Etat.
Etat.
This.
This.
Devyaha.
Devyaha.
Wives of demigods.
The wives of the demigods.
Yatha.
Yatha.
As.
As.
Divi.
Divi.
In the sky.
In the sky.
Vimana. On their airplanes.
On their airplanes.
Varaihi. Excellent.
Excellent.
Nirdeveha.
Nirdeveha.
The queens.
The queens.
Of King Yudhishthira.
Of King Yudhishthira.
Taha. They. Mautaleya.
Mautaleya.
By their maternal cousins.
By their maternal cousins.
Lord Krishna.
Lord Krishna.
And his brothers.
And his brothers.
Such as Gada and Sarana.
Such as Gada and Sarana.
Sakibihi.
Sakibihi.
And by their friends.
And by their friends.
Such as Bhima and Arjuna.
Such as Bhima and Arjuna. Parishyamana.
Being sprinkled.
Being sprinkled.
Sarvada.
Shy.
Hasa.
Hasa.
With smiles.
With smiles. Vikasat. Blossoming. Vadana.
Whose faces. Virejuhu.
Virejuhu.
Appear splendid.
They appeared.
Translation purport by the followers of the divine grace. Abhay Charnari in the Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: surrounded by gods, King Yudhishthira's queens came out on their chariots to see the fun. Just as the demigod's wife appeared in the sky in celestial airplanes, as maternal cousins and intimate friends sprinkle the queens with liquids, the ladies' faces blossom with shy smiles, enhancing the queen's splendid beauty. The maternal cousins refer to here Lord Krishna and such brothers as of his as Gada and Sharana, and the friends mentioned are such persons as Bhima and Arjuna. Sadevanamita Sakin Sishyu Vitvihi Trinamara Vivrita Ghatra Kuchora Madhyaha Autsukya Mukta Kavaraj Chavamanam Madhyaha Shobham Dhadur Mala Diyam Ruchirai Viraraihi. Translation: as the queen squirted water from syringes at their brother-in-law and other male companions, their own garments became drenched, revealing their arms, breast, thighs and waist. In their excitement, the flowers fell from their loosened braids. By these charming pastimes, they agitated those with contaminated consciousness. Purport: Srila Prabhupada writes, such behavior between pure males and females enjoyable, but persons who are materially contaminated become lustful. Text 18. Sasamradakam marudhaha sadashvam mukamalinam vyarochata svapatnibihi kriyabihi kraturadiva. Translation: the emperor, mounted upon his chariot drawn by excellent horses bearing golden collars, appeared splendid in the company of his wife, just like the brilliant Rajasuya sacrifice, surrounded by its various rituals. Purport: King Yudhishthira with his queens appeared like the personified Rajasuya sacrifice, surrounded by its beautiful rituals. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurumita Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapita Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamihim Dati Swapadandikam Vancha Kalpatara Vishta Kripasami Devacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presta Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Panchami Nirvisesha Shunimani Paschyata Deshikani Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Nanda Gopa Kumara Hare Krishna. Okay, so in the previous chapters we read about the Rajasya Yajna performed by Maharaj Yudhishthira. Now Maharaj Yudhishthira performed this Rajasya Yajna for two reasons. One is an external reason and one is an internal reason. External reason for Maharaj Yudhishthira to perform Rajasya Yajna is for him to become the undisputed king of the whole world. And if he does that, then by that he would be able to establish the religious principles of Dharma, or he would make the citizens of the world Krishna conscious. The internal reason is even more important, that Maharaj Yudhishthira invited all the great kings of the world. He invited great sages, he invited Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and he also invited Shudras for only one reason. And this is explained in the previous chapter. Tad Deva Deva Bhavas Charanaruvinda Sevanu Bhavam Eva Pashyati Loka Isha. So why did he bring? He said, Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying, O Lord of the Lords, let the people of this world see the power of devotional service rendered to your lotus feet. So he wanted everyone to be engaged in the service of the Lord, and he wanted everyone to get the benefit of being Krishna conscious. Now, usually when somebody performs, great personalities perform Rajasya Yajna, or when they perform other great sacrifices, that usually for themselves, to stamp their authority or to become great or a position or something like that. But here, Yudhishthira Maharaj performed this purely for the sake of glorifying the Lord and engaging everybody in service. And that's why if you reach Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, Prabhupada explains that Yudhishthira Maharaj, by performing by this act, he actually became more famous in all the 3 worlds, more famous than Lord Indra himself. And so everyone who attended this Rajasya Yajna were very delighted, they were very pleased, and there was a wonderful festival atmosphere, except for one person. Everyone was happy except for one person. That person, none of them. And so the last chapter, Sukadeva Goswami finishes off by saying to Parikshit Maharaj, everyone was happy except for one person, Duryodhana. And we read in the previous verses of this chapter that Yudhishthira Maharaj engaged everybody in service of the Lord, including Duryodhana. And as Prabhu was explaining yesterday, Duryodhana was given the task of treasury. That's a very confidential service given to him. And so he was given that. Even Karna was given the service of charity. And in spite of that, he was very happy. And so this chapter starts with Parikshit Maharaj asking Sukadeva Goswami a question. He says, "O Brahmana, according to what I've heard from you, all the assembled kings, sages, demigods were delighted to see the wonderful festival. But you're saying that the only person exception was Duryodhana. Please tell me why so. Why has this happened?" And so this chapter is Sukadeva Goswami explaining the reason why Duryodhana was not very happy. And so this chapter is entitled Duryodhana Humiliated. And Sukadeva Goswami explains that after the Rajasya Yajna, there was great celebrations. There was a festive atmosphere with great singers, dancers, and Brahmanas chanting Vedic mantras, men and women sprinkling various kind of liquids on themselves, and they were very happy. And in the 18th verse, we are reading that, 16th to 18th verse, Maharaj Yudhishthira, he mounted the chariot drawn by excellent horses with his queens. And the key point, what is explained here, that when Maharaj Yudhishthira mounted the chariot, how did he look like? He was Vyarochata. Vyarochata means he looks splendid. He looked very bright. And we know that devotees of the Lord, due to their constant absorption in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they are constantly engaging the senses in the service of the Lord, they naturally exhibit two things. One is called ojas, another is called tejas. And they look bright and brilliant. They look wonderful. Now this what is ojas? Ojas means it is the physical and mental endurance to withstand storm. So many of us by experience, we know by experience that when you come to spiritual life, we are doing things which we could not have imagined in our previous life. You know, for example, Nirjala Ekadasi. Previously, when we didn't come into process of bhakti, we could not have imagined that we could fast a whole day for more than 24 hours without water, without anything, and we are able to do it now. So that strength comes from the process of bhakti, and the physical endurance and mental endurance is called ojas. And the tejas, which come from within, it is the radiance, inner radiance or the luster. Devotees look wonderful; they appear splendid and brilliant. And so these two are natural byproducts of performing devotion service. You can see, interestingly, yogis also do that. Yogis, for example, they perform austerities. Let's take an example of Hiranyakashipu. When we read the story of Hiranyakashipu, Srimad Bhagavatam was explained that when he was the pinnacle of his austerity, he looked so radiant, he looked so brilliant that the three worlds could not handle that brilliance. But his intention, of course, wasn't very holy. But still, by performing austerity, one can get that ojas and things. But here we are talking about devotional service, where that gives you a different kind of a strength. It gives you a different kind of a brilliance, which is what you're talking about here in the case of Yudhishthira Maharaj. In the case of yogis who do that, they get brilliance, but they don't engage it. They have to withhold their energy to sustain the ojas. They get contagious, but as soon as they get engaged in materialistic life or other than what they're doing, and it just diminishes a little bit. But the key point about devotional service is we use all our energy for service of the Lord. So as we use our senses, our energy in service of the Lord, it actually enhances our energy. Who could have thought Srila Prabhupada, at the age of greater than 70, 75, is translating Srimad Bhagavatam 2 o'clock in the morning, sleep for 2 hours in the night, and then continues his devotional service. It is practically impossible. But devotional service gives you the strength. And we know, if you read Srila Lilamrita, and if you read many great devotees, disciples of Srila Prabhupada, if you read their story, especially His Holiness Bibi Gurmara, when you read his, how did he come? He just said that he was walking past the airport, he saw a great personality coming out of the airport, he saw the brilliance of his face, got so attracted. He said, who's his personality? He doesn't know anything about Krishna consciousness, he doesn't know anything about Eastern philosophy. He just saw Srila Prabhupada, the brilliance of his face. And he said, this person, I have to understand and I have to submit myself to this. So, it's great devotees, they exhibit this great tejas. Especially when we see the sannyasis who come here, you just look at their brilliance, the energy they bring. So they're able to attract so many people, thousands and thousands of people. Even brahmacharis, who undertake celibacy, they look very effulgent. I remember last time when Gauranga Darshan Prabhu had come, I was just struck by his effulgence coming out of the process. So this kind of the constant devotion, pure devotion service to the Lord, and it automatically manifests. It's not that we have to get this brilliance in us. And therefore it is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, it's a very beautiful verse explained in the 5th canto. Yashasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarvai gunai tatra samasati sura. So the first two lines talk about what happens when you perform devotion service. And the second two lines, the last 3 and 4 lines, talks about what happens when you don't perform devotion service or when you don't become a devotee of Krishna. It says, Harav avaktasya kuto mahat guna manoratena asti dhavato vahi. So it says that Yashasti bhakti bhagavati akinchana. If you perform bhakti to who? Bhagavati, Bhagavan Shri Krishna. And what should be the type of devotion? Akinchana bhakti, which means there should be no motivation. There should be no motive with that bhakti. Akinchana bhakti. Then what happens? Sarva gunai saratra samaseta sura, which means you get all the good qualities of the demigods. See, demigods, if you see, they are very brilliant. They have this brilliance and they have good qualities. Sometimes we bash them. But they are devotees of the Lord, and they are the empowered devotees of the Lord who are administering the material universe. And so they have great qualities, and the devotee who performs devotion service, he gets all the good qualities of the universe. On the other hand, if one doesn't, taking one step ahead backwards, if you see in Srimad Bhagavatam, great personalities in the Pandavas, Narad Muni, Prahlad Maharaj, and then Chaitanya Charitamrita talk about Haridas Thakur, and our own Srila Prabhupada. They have these great qualities which are Vaishnava. If you see all the videos of Srila Prabhupada, you see the brilliance coming out of his face. It's just, you can't say it anywhere. On the other hand, we say that Harav Avaktasya Kuto Mahaguna. Harav, the Supreme Personal Godhead, Avaktasya. If one is not a devotee of Lord Hari, Kuto Mahaguna, where is your good qualities? You don't get, because Manorathena, they are so engaged in mental speculation, they are so busy performing mental activities, they have no good qualities at all. They have no good qualities at all. And so we see people like Duryodhana, Kamsa, Shishupal, and all of these different personalities. They are opulent, wealth-wise. They are opulent from a power point of view, but they have no devotion service. So what is the point? What are the good qualities if you don't perform devotion service? And in fact, here it's even more interesting because Yudhishthira Maharaj engaged Duryodhana in the service of the Lord. Yet, he could not have good qualities. And yesterday, Prabhupada talked about the reason why being envy, and that is why he was bringing him down. So, advanced devotees performing pure devotion service due to constantly engaging their senses in the service of the Lord, they always have this energy, extra energy which comes with them, and they're always very radiant. And the gross materialist, because of in constantly engaging their senses for their sense gratification, and they are in mode of ignorance, they are and then what happens with them is they initially have some strength, but over a period of time they lose the strength. They look tired, they look worn out, and they just don't have any radiance in them at all. So we understand on one scale we have the advanced devotees, mature devotees who exhibit all of this, and the other side we have the gross materialists who have nothing. And then we have in between. People like myself, for example, I don't consider myself as anywhere close to being a pure devotee, but certainly hopefully there is a hope there. Or definitely we're not gross materialists because we have left that life and we come here. What happens to us? Where do we stay? Where is our position? So certainly we have some aura, there is splendor, there is tejas, there is ojas in us. But because our bhakti is mixed with karma and jnana, it is not very visible. But over a period of time, when we constantly practice devotion service, then we get those good qualities also. But then we have to understand that as we progress in bhakti, we get some of the good qualities. And with these good qualities, what happens is we get some recognition. And so one of the biggest fear, a real concern for devotee, which the devotee should consider very seriously, is something that by performing devotion service, when we get this with this warm reverence, sometimes we get this recognition. The greatest fear for a devotee is to become distracted from the subordination towards Krishna, to Guru, and most importantly to the Vaishnavas. So I'll repeat this again. One of the greatest worry of a devotee is to become distracted from the subordination towards Krishna, Guru, and to other devotees. So when we fail to maintain our humility, when we fail to maintain our submission, when we fail to maintain our obedience, and also when we fail to acknowledge the greatness of Krishna, Guru, and other devotees, it becomes a great obstacle and it becomes a great distraction for our spiritual life. So this is something which we have to be very concerned for. So we are concerned about many things around our lives, but our biggest concern should be that we should not fall down from our position. Now we have to understand this distraction, where is it coming from? Where is distraction coming from? From materialistic, we understand the distraction. They are living in the midst of distraction. They are living in the midst of chaos. So when they get distracted, it's nothing extraordinary. Whereas we have left that life, we have come here, and we have knowledge. We are getting knowledge from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. We are all engaging in our senses in service of the Lord, and we are seriously important. I mean, I don't think anyone is coming here and saying, I'm here just for a casual visit. We are all making an effort. I don't think there is a lack of endeavor from all of us. So, if we are trying seriously and we are doing whatever in our capacity, where is the distraction coming from? That's a question we need to ask ourselves. What is happening within us? Because we all have a past life. We had a family life. We have come from there, and we have left it when we come here. So, if I ask a question to all of you here, please raise your hands if anyone wants to go back to the material. I want to live the life which we have left. And we think that this life is not good enough. This life of bhakti and devotion service is not, it's a waste of time. I want to go back where I was better off. So there's no hands raising because we all have left it. We have come here, which means we have consciously, without any force, we have come to this life and leaving aside what we thought was very good in the previous life. Then if we have left all this, we have come here consciously that we want to make a change, then where do we have the distractions? Now the distractions come in many ways. There's a list we can go through, but I'll just give you a few things. The first distraction comes from the wrong choice of association. So we talk about association of like-minded people, and within association we have to choose. We have to associate with everybody, but within that association, we also associate with a group of people whom we can relate to, whom we can enhance our bhakti. It's very important. We choose our own association very quickly, we get these distractions. We get distracted due to wealth, due to richness we have. We can overwhelm us, we can't handle it. And sometimes we get distracted by fame and recognition, especially in bhakti. We've seen many devotees who are expert preachers or great kirtaniyas, and especially in the social media now, the name and recognition is very instant. And so it is something which we are very careful about. And then these are external reasons why the distractions can happen. External reasons being bad association or the name and fame we will. But there's also internal reason which is within us, the pride, the envy, and most importantly the lust we have. So these can distract us. And when one performs devotion service as a byproduct, a very sincere devotee has only one motive, that I want to engage in service in the lotus feet of Krishna. But as a byproduct, when we perform devotion service, we get name and fame. As I said earlier, good preacher, good kirtaniya, or a good distributor, and people look up to you. You start suddenly having a fan following. You have your own area of, I'm almost like a mini guru in one sense. That I have people following me, and then I've become famous. And in that sense, you become attractive also. Also become attractive to people. And therefore, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains very beautifully. He says, such situation is a danger for a devotee because he's frolicking with the waves of worship, name and fame. Use the word frolicking. And the best example we can give is Nalakuvera and Manigiri. They were sons of Kuvera, one of the richest person in this place possible. And with the richest, great opulence, and they were demigods. And what did they do? They were frolicking. And so, they got cursed by Narayana. And so, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti called it as Taranga Rangini. This frolicking is called Ranga. And Taranga Rangini means frolicking in the waves of these things which we get doing bhakti. And these multiple flavors of this disturbance and distractions, there are multiple different flavors you get. Everybody can in their own way get distracted. But there is a root cause. There's only one root cause where lack of humility. The lack of humility is the one which causes the distractions. Now, that's a very big question. What is humility now? Now, this is the most talked about subject matter, discussed subject matter among devotees. One thing we discuss is this person has no humility, or this person considers himself to be a senior disciple or a devotee, but has got humility. So this is a commonly discussed subject matter among devotees is about humility. And a lot of people, especially you speak, say we come to temple, you preach about humility, but you don't exhibit humility. So what kind of devotees are you? So this is a very sort of a controversial subject matter. And so when we say lack of humility, how do we judge if a person is humble or not? What is our yardstick of judging somebody? Is it if someone is externally very humble and inside is completely different? What do we know? He could be inside, he could be a Kalian, and outside he could be acting like Haridas. You don't know. And by seeing externally, if we see that they are humble, probably they will not be. Or you could see someone just very silent, doesn't say anything, comes, does a service, and goes, doesn't talk to anyone. Is that person humble? I know one person, a young youth. He doesn't say much. He's always very submissive. He says everything okay. And you would think this person is very humble. Cannot go wrong. He can never get angry. But then he goes to his car and he just explodes. And it just happened that I was there one day and I noticed, what are you doing? He says, I am sick and tired of being humble outside, or trying to be a good person outside. And he comes out, and when I am alone, I explode. So we call that person humble. Or do we say that a person is not humble if he is very vocal and he's chastising people, he's correcting people? Then we say that this person is not humble. Sitson Vyasasthani is correcting us all the time. Is that person not humble? So how do we judge devotees who are humble or not? But we judge by our own standard. I mean, what is our standard? Who defines our standard of humility? Is our standard the best standard? No. So, what is the proper standard? We need to understand it. And that's why we always have to refer to Shastras, and Guru, and Senior Masters. What does it mean to be humble? I'll just say this. I'm just taking from a quote from Acharya, from a book I read. Real humility means to recognize Krishna's position as the supreme person of Godhead, and also recognize Krishna's will, that everything is happening by Krishna's will and his decision. Please raise your hands if you disagree with this statement, that Krishna is the supreme person of Godhead and everything is happening by Krishna's will and Krishna's decision. If you don't agree, please raise your hands. Nobody raised their hands. Which means Mataji, you raise your hands? Mataji? No? So, if nobody is raising hands, we are acknowledging it. But then, somewhere in our mind, when something goes wrong in the temple, when somebody gives a position, then we don't like it. When somebody is given a service, we get very upset. Not understanding that on one hand we are saying everything is happening by the will of the Lord. Shyam Sundar, he is the boss of this temple. He is manifesting through other devotees. His will is being manifested to the management or senior Vaishnavas. But then somehow in our mind, we accept one part theoretically. When it comes to practice, we are unable to reconcile the fact that this person is getting more service than I, or this person is getting more recognition than I. Why is it happening? And then we fail to recognize it. So that's why I asked how many of us, we definitely think, at least I can put up and say, yes, I recognize Krishna's personality. And everything happened to Krishna's will. But as soon as something goes wrong, I go back to my own ways. Why is it happening? I can't understand it. So we always have to, anytime we have this confusion, we have to refer back to the statement that Krishna is Supreme Person of Godhead and everything happening by. It's a very simple statement, but somehow we miss it. And we have to acknowledge that Krishna has empowered certain individuals certain talents. I can't do certain things. I can't be blessed. I can't try to put my name against everything, all services, because physically cannot. I have no talent. And also we can understand that there are devotees who are much, much better than us. And we have to acknowledge it. And most importantly, acknowledging that Krishna's mercy upon us. And also how insignificant we are compared to the Lord and other people. So to understand that Krishna is Supreme Person of Godhead, I am simply a speck of dust. And that feeling, that emotion one has, it has to come naturally. And that is something which is the starting point of being humble. And one as is humble within, that person can manifest humility by his deeds, by his words, and by his thoughts. It can manifest. You can know very easily. It is how long are you going to be externally humble and internally not humble? it will manifest. It's only a matter of time that what is inside will come outside. So if you're internally humble, it will manifest automatically. You don't have to show anything. You will be humble. But if you're not humble inside and you're trying to show outside, it will reflect on you. And therefore, the greatest fear of a devotee is to become humble, to become insubordinate to Krishna, to Guru, and Vaishnavas. A very interesting point I was reflecting on this. Initially, we're all very attentive when we first come to the process of bhakti. We don't know anything. We're observing everything that's going on, and we're very attentive. We want to learn. We want to learn what is happening. The way different rituals we perform, and the various methods we adopt, and so we want to follow it. But then once we become part, like they say in Western country, you become part of the furniture. So when you become part of the what we call as a core congregation group, and you've been there for long enough, what happens is you become complacent. Our behavior changes towards the Lord. Our behavior changes towards others. And what happens is then we become insubordinate. And with that, what happens is we start to tend to harshly criticize or judge others more than necessary. Of course, everybody's got faults, we have faults, but sometimes we start judging others harshly and criticize them. And so this is explained very nicely. When a service is given to us, we are very anxious about it. But when we become very complacent, when we become very expert in the service, it's okay, it's sort of taken for granted. And so we're very careful. I just want to take one note from Srimad Bhagavatam. This is a chapter I'm reading, I'm reflecting on this. Canto 3 Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Brahma's prayer for creative energy. And this is something wonderful. I just want to share this. Now, Lord Brahma, as we know, he's taken birth from the lotus flower or the navel of Garbhodaka Vishnu. And Lord Brahma not knowing what to do, he went into deep meditation. And for several Brahma years. And the Lord revealed himself to Lord Brahma. And in the explanation of Bhagavatam, that Lord Brahma actually had vision of the spiritual world. He saw the residents, how brilliant, how opulent they were. And the very first handshake in history happened between the Lord and Lord Brahma. Lord came and gave a handshake to Lord Brahma. And so Lord instructed what Brahma should do. And then Brahma offers one praise. In one of the prayers, text 22 of chapter 9 of Canto 3, Brahma says, "Let the Supreme Lord be merciful towards me. He is the one friend and soul of all living entities in the world. And he maintains all for the ultimate happiness by his 6 transcendental opulences. May he be merciful towards me, so that I, as before, may be empowered with the introspection to create. For I am also one of the surrendered souls who are dear to the Lord." The Supreme Lord, the personality of God, it is always a benefactor of the surrendered souls. His activities are always enacted through his internal potency, Rama, or the goddess of fortune, Rama, or the goddess of fortune. I pray only to engage in a service in the creation of the material world, and I pray that I may not be materially affected by my works, for thus I may be able to give up the false prestige of being the creator. It says, I therefore pray that in the course of my material activities, I may not be deviated from the vibration of the Vedic hymns. This is Lord Brahma saying. This is Lord Brahma, the first personality of this material world, such a great personality. And he is heading our Sampradaya. He is saying to the Lord that, please Lord, protect me from becoming proud, being subordinate to your instructions. So, very important point. And so, where do we stand in this? Who are we? Nothing. And so while doing so many services, we are doing so many services. And all these services are sanctioned by Krishna, approved by Krishna. Krishna is kindly, mercifully allowing us to do this service. And whatever success we get on the service, the credit should go to the Lord. So when Lord Brahma prayed this way, the Lord said, "O Brahma, situate yourself in penance and meditation, and follow the principles of knowledge to receive my favor. Be absorbed in devotional service in the course of your creative activities, and therefore you will see me." See me means you will see my hand. That means you will never become proud. Every time you see Krishna's hand in anything you do, you will never get proud of it. So the point is, in the beginning of our bhakti, we seek blessing. We seek empowerment for devotees. Oh, please bless us. Mataji, please bless us. We seek empowerment. And then when we seek support. But then when we become successful in a particular service, do we still seek support? Do we still seek blessings? And do we still seek empowerment? That's the question we need to ask. Every time we start a service, do we feel grateful to the Lord for giving us this opportunity? And do we want His empowerment? Do we seek His, please empower me that I'm going to do means service, but still I need empowerment. Because without hands, legs, without working senses, there is no chance of us doing any service. So Krishna is giving us the empowerment. Are we seeking the empowerment every time? That's the question we need to ask. Do we still have the mode of dependency on Vaishnavas? Do we still have the dependency on Krishna? Because the dependency goes away. So we always have to go back to our basics. We should never forget, never ever forget the initial empowerment and mercy given by Vaishnava, because of which we are here. We have to be very grateful to that one person who has brought us to this platform of bhakti. Because we would have been in somewhere else, we would have been wasting our time. And we are here because of some devotee, in whatever manner, has engaged us in a service to the Lord. Never ever forget that moment, never ever forget that person. Be very, very grateful to Vaishnava. And therefore, the greatest fear of a devotee is forgetfulness of blessings and empowerment, and to become a devotee. Just be careful where we are. And we read in Chaitanya Charitamrita about 5 minutes, I'll quickly finish this. About the story of Vasudeva leper. You know, this great devotee, you know, he's constantly chanting. He has this intense desire to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is on a yatra, he's going to South India, he's going from one place to the one place to the other, and he's just, you know, he's sweeping the whole of India by his bhakti. This Vasudeva is having leprosy. The leprosy is so bad that there is wound and pus coming out of his body. So much so that worms are eating, you know, they are treating the pus as his food. And when he's walking, when the worms fall down, what does he do? He picks them up and puts it back. Puts them back in the pus. Not that he was enjoying his state. He was quite in pain, and he was in great distress. But he always thought his position is so sick, he's suffering anyway. His body is giving up on him. But if the worms can survive by his bodily wounds, maybe they'll get benefit. I'm not getting any benefit of my body. Then the worms get benefit. So he would put them back again. And this would be, you know, a very difficult sight for anyone else to see. So he had an intense desire to see Mahaprabhu. But Mahaprabhu had already left. And you know, he goes to this Kurma Brahmana's house looking for Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu had already left. And he's in great distress. He's crying. My whole goal of life was to have your darshan, my Lord. And that is also taken. I can't even travel. And you know Mahaprabhu, he's 7 feet tall. He just walks, and he just walks. He just goes. And Mahaprabhu understood the mood. He came back. He came back for this particular person. And when he saw Vasudeva, the leper, Mahaprabhu embraced him. And not only leprosy is gone, what happened to him? That he became very, very young, very healthy, and became very radiant. Radiant but touch of Mahaprabhu. This is like when we read Bhagavatam, 10, you know, Putana. Putana with a touch of Krishna, when she expanded herself into 12 miles. 12 miles. You know, and because she covered such a long area, they had to cut her to pieces and they had to burn her. The fragrance coming out of her body was spreading in different villages. She is the epitome of a person being a demon. Touch of Krishna. For how many seconds? Her bodies are emanating fragrance from her body. That is a touch of the Lord. So here, Mahaprabhu touched Vasudeva and he is no more leper anymore. And he becomes youthful, he becomes healthy. And then he's making wonderful prayers. He says, my Lord, I got a special mercy from you. I got two mercies from you. One, you've come just for me all the way. You're going on a yatra or something, you've come back just for my sake. This can become viral. People can, luckily in those days there was no social media group. And then second thing he's saying is, you made me healthy, you made me good looking. And he says, how can I not become puffed up? How can I not become affected by pride? Please, he's begging, can you please help me that I should not get puffed up? So Mahaprabhu says, yes, the only way you will not become proud is to become humble by incessantly chanting Hare Krishna. Now, is Vasudeva not humble? Of course he's humble. That's why would Mahaprabhu come back? But Mahaprabhu is giving us instruction through Vasudeva to us. Be humble. Be humble. This is Shastra every day. One has to be humble. One has to be humble. And we go through it, and somehow it doesn't go into our way of life. So be attached to the holy name is what Mahaprabhu. Be attached to the holy name. And therefore, humility comes from chanting. But wonder why humility is coming from chanting. Because Mahaprabhu's verse about humility, next verse is Najanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitama Jagati Shikha. Mahaprabhu is saying, be careful, you get recognition, you get fame, you get fan following. We don't want any of that. We only want to cause this devotional service birth after birth. That is what we are aspiring for. We don't want anything else, my Lord. This distraction will come. His name and recognition will come. But I don't want more. I want to stick to my bhakti towards Him. So we have to be very careful, especially preaching and all different services we do. There is this danger to fall down. I was speaking to my godbrother who gives wonderful classes. I asked him, what should be the mood of a person giving Bhagavatam class? Bhagavatam class is just not a class. It is spoken by Sukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. It is spoken by Srila Prabhupada, spoken by spiritual masters. So we have a great responsibility to, a person who Vyasa has a great responsibility to speak about Bhagavatam. It's just not that I'm just going to come with the verse and speak. It's a great responsibility. So I was asking him what the mood. He said that he's very confidently expressed that, he would not do that. He said that the day before giving the class, he would chant 64 rounds. 64 rounds he would chant so that he can sit in Rasaraj and glorify the Lord exclusively, and that while glorifying, he doesn't get affected by it. It's just wonderful. Like that made me feel that I should be sitting here. That level of purity we need to be able to preach. Otherwise, all of these services we do can easily bring us down if we don't engage properly in service of God. So the more we get attracted to the beat back, the more we feel grounded. The more we are grounded, the more humility comes. How is this related? How does humility relate to more chanting? Is that the more you take your round and chant, 16 round chanting, that's a given. That's what we are asked to do. But every single time we have a spare moment, if we take the chanting bag and chant, and we continue to chant, that brings us to the level of humility. Because, we are so engrossed in ourselves. Material body, I am, ahamiti, ahamama, I am, me, myself. That to take somebody's name other than myself is a big austerity. To take somebody's name thousands and thousands of times a day, every single day, is something which, you ask someone, they will say, this is crazy. But if you take Krishna's name time and again, that means you are giving more importance to the Lord than yourself. And as soon as you give more importance to the Lord than yourself, that means that humility is not starting to come. So simple. Humility means the more you chant attentively, humility comes automatically. And that's why Prabhupada, in those days, he said there was an article in the newspaper, wife tells the husband, chant. And the person said, can't, because why will I chant somebody's name other than myself? So that's a very important point. So don't leave it too late. Because sometimes we get so engrossed and in our own thought process, we are so expert, we become so expert in judging people, we become so expert in harshly criticizing others, never ever become a stumbling block for somebody else's service. We might be the greatest, we might quote thousands of beautiful verses, we might make the best garland, we might dress ladies beautifully, but if we become a stumbling block for somebody else to do service, that becomes a big stumbling block for us. Krishna will never be possible. Very careful. If we can't do something properly, doesn't mean others can't do something properly. We have to encourage others. Do we feel happy when somebody's service is better than ours? Do we genuinely feel happy? Something to reflect. We should not leave it to too late. Otherwise, we become like Daksha. Daksha was a devotee of Lord Vishnu. And he was an empowered personality. He was a son of Brahma, empowered personality. But what happened to him? He had great opulence. Well, everything was perfect for him. But he had one bad quality was he was not finding Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva might have 10 good qualities. That's fine, he said. But I don't treat him as a great Vaishnava. Because look at him, he looks dirty, he looks different. By Daksha's standard, he's judging somebody by his standard. Look at him, how he is. And he's telling in the assembly of everybody, not that I'm criticizing him, I'm only telling about Vaishnava etiquette. This is how a Vaishnava should be. Nicely dressed. Look at Shiva, he not dressed properly. And what happened to him? He was chopped off. A gold face had to be kept. By the time the gold face, he was already too late. He had lost the opportunity. So we should not come and say, we are reading from Bhagavatam. All of these are telling us that yes, when you perform devotional service, you'll get this. Different things will come. And Srila Vishwanath Thakur explained, this Karanga Rangani is bound to happen. The frolicking in the waves of worship and fame and recognition is bound to happen. Just be careful. Engage in service to God. And be very diligent. That's very important. And that's why we are reading here, Yudhishthira Maharaj was very diligent. Every time you perform service, you will always think of God. And we should take instructions like that. And we should really be firm in our service. Never ever deviate from that. You can fix on this. Thank you so much. I'll end here. Any questions or comments or corrections, please? Yes, Maharaj.
Thank you so much for the class. You said 3 tricky things here.
I can't hear you.
Thank you so much for the class. You have mentioned 3 tricky things here in the class. First is when you talk of humility, and you said that you cannot pretend to be humble because inside, whatever is inside will come outside. When we are taught chanting, and we know it's not in our first nature to chant with humility and love and devotion, we are told that fake it, one day you'll make it. So here, if we don't fake humility, how do we make it?
How long can you fake it?
But what is mentioned in the Shastras to cultivate humility from the inside?
So initially we are in sadhana bhakti, and it's a big austerity to perform sadhana bhakti. To come early morning is difficult. To chant 16 rounds is difficult. To serve others is difficult. So it is difficult, but they're doing it externally, of course. Those in the altar, they are not in the greatest love of serving Krishna. Some might find it very mechanical, but we do it. Sometimes we do it. But, as I said, the more we are attached to the holy name of the Lord, the more we are attached hearing about Krishna, the more we are. The external will start being changed. That's why we say Cheto Darpana Marjana. There is a cleansing process. And the cleansing happens. And when the cleansing happens, it will manifest internally and externally also. But initially, yes, we do things mechanically also. We don't understand how the thing we do it. But at least you're right, let's at least be nice outside. We may not feel like inside. But how long? We have to change. We have to have the transformation of heart. The transformation of heart only comes when you engage in service, when you hear. If you don't do it properly, then it doesn't transform properly, and then how long can you fake it? Then it becomes actually an impediment for you, because as I said, that boy was, he got fed up, and it comes out in different ways. You will let it out in a different way. So it has to come out. And by constant engagement is when the transformation can happen. The knowledge revealed through the heart. That means we're not, this knowledge is already in us, but it's revealed through the heart. And the translation comes from within us. And you will know, you're the best judge, you will know yourself. No need for anyone to judge you, you will know yourself what situation you are. And we have to sometimes be critical about us. We are very good in critical about others, but are we being critical about ourselves?
And here comes the second information. You said choosing association within association. And now here when we're choosing, we are judging. And when we are judging, we are not humble.
So association with association means, of course, we associate everybody here. We are, without devotee association, it's not possible for us to proceed. That's given. But then you find a core group where you find comfort and you are able to discuss, like you can share confidence subject matter, your difficulties. You can't share your difficulty with everybody. There are certain people you can share. You don't share your bank balance with everybody. You share with your close family members. Similarly, your problems in bhakti or any situations, you share with very core group of people who are seriously engaged in bhakti. And if they are criticizing others or if they are taking away, then you know that that's not my core group of association. I need to be with people who are engaged in service and who are talking about Krishna every opportunity, and who can help me progress in that. So that judgment you have to make. You have to have the intelligence to know who is that within the association who we should be. If somebody helps you in the process of bhakti, then of course you should. But only certain people you can share your confidential matters, not everyone.
And the third thing, probably you said everything that Krishna, has planned. It is because of Krishna that everything is happening. But whenever, does that mean accepting whatever is happening around us and with us, just submitting, being submissive to all that is happening around us, and not taking any action anywhere?
Everything happens by Krishna's will. We say that even not even a prayer of the Mass moves not Krishna's will. That is correct. That allows you to reconcile with what is happening around you. But when something's wrong done to you, see, humility is not that when we start becoming so humble that when something's grossly wrong done to you, that you accept it. You have to take action accordingly. Sishupal, when Sishupal was becoming a bottleneck to the Yajasvi Krishna, took action. So that means Krishna is not humble. He said, we have to take action. So appropriate action means you raise it according to the right authority, and you live with authority. Humility means when you address the issue with authority, and when the authority takes decision, whatever the decision may be, when you accept it, that's humility. When the decision is against you, do you get upset? Then that's humility. So you can't see, humility doesn't mean that somebody does something really bad and you have to raise it. And you have to protect yourself also. But it doesn't mean that when a decision is made and you get upset. It's a big subject, I'm just giving you a very snapshot. But yes. One of the
But what if you are not in a position to, the extension of this question, what if you are not in a position to change? Like if something happening and you raise to the right authorities, but what if you are not in a position to raise to the authority? What if you're in a state where it's created and it's just, you're trying, but nothing is happening. Like if you're not in a state and nobody's recognizing you and nobody's acknowledging you,
I don't know the specifics, but I give you a general answer. The general answer is you encounter a problem and you try to first understand, are you involved in the problem or are you the cause of the problem? Because most times we don't recognize that we are party to the problem. Have I done something that has caused it? And number two is, can I do anything to fix it? And you try everything and you can't, then obviously you have to raise it to authority and leave it there. And if it doesn't, you will necessarily follow up. So I cannot explain any more than this. If anything goes beyond that, it still doesn't work. Because generally, if you understand, most of the situations are covered by this. But if it still goes beyond, then there's something you need to have a discussion from senior people. You have a explain the specific situation and seek guidance, I suppose. Because obviously the answer can't be given for every specific situations. But it's always, we always say Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. You go to the senior disciple, senior devotee, you refer to Bhagavad. I can tell you one thing, every time I'm starting to read Bhagavad, as I proceed, my maturity is improving. I'm not there yet, I'm not even close. But when I first started, my humility was maybe minus 100. And my tolerance was nothing. I didn't even understand. But I'm reading, and I'm starting to read, and slowly there's a transformation happening. I'm able to see things as that. So initially you don't reconcile why it's happening, and you try to react. And you try to bring your material solution to the spiritual problems. And it doesn't work. Spiritual problems can only be solved with spiritual solution. And spiritual solution, if you don't have the maturity, very bewildering, you can't understand. Sometimes when sannyasis take a decision, we get very critical of that. And it's the worst thing to do is to offend them. But they're doing it for the welfare. They're doing it for a long-term solution. Spiritual does not mean short-term. When Arjuna asked Krishna, he said, give me long-term, Shreya, give me long-term solution. Don't give me solution just to fight. And Krishna spoke the whole Bhagavad. So sometimes we have become impatient. But we have to look at the long-term solution. How, as I say, Krishna's mills grind slow, but they grind fine. Means they take time. But as I say, don't allow yourself to get into trouble because if you have a situation which is critical, you have to address it. You have to
Prabhu, as you were saying, like in such situations, we can take the help of senior devotees. So the discussion was going around two factors. One was humble and humility. And the second one was like-minded association, in the association. I just have a bit of from Adibush Prabhu when he used to take the classes. I have just some answers from there as a senior devotee. Maybe it will help somebody. Like the first one is humble and humility. Prabhu says that humble and humility is fine, but somebody in the Randu Mall is coming with a knife, first run away from there. Or if the lady is there as a wife, Ardhangini, and husband is about to beat, first save her life. She should run away. And like-minded and unlike-minded when it comes, like-minded in the association is not that you scratch my back and I scratch your back and both are getting pleasure. Like-minded here means liking Krishna or liking what is happening with respect to the spirituality. That type of liking is what we say like-minded. That's all.
Okay, thank you so much. And Nashima Bhagavatam.